Hi. Well, I just had my first consultation with Dr. Lindquist at Weight Loss Services here at Swedish, and I have to say it has been a interesting experience, and one that yielded results I never would have imagined. I had a lot of aha moments in this meeting with him, in this appointment with him, and I just never expected to hear the things and learn the things that I did today. First of all, something that never occurred to me in 47 years. Well, we'll be realistic. In let's say in well over 30 years of trying to manage my weight, that what I was experiencing, what I had, was a disease. I thought of it as an inability to manage my eating, food intake. I saw it as an inability to manage a bad habit. I saw it as something to be ashamed of. But I never saw it as a disease that should be treated by a doctor. I mean, if I had a brain injury, if there was something wrong with my brain, I would see a doctor. If I had kidney disease, or I had thyroid disease, or I had something, I would see a doctor and I would have that treated. But obesity in and of itself isn't the symptom of something else. It's a disease, and it's about how our bodies process food that creates this overall issue. And then what I find amazing about that is then obviously the way we feel about our bodies and the way we feel about food affects the way we take in food. And so one really exacerbates the other. So to look at it as a disease is something I've never done before. And that really has my brain, ticking away. Another aspect that was something I never really appreciated or understood was that I talked about in the first video that I wouldn't eat all day and I would sort of just eat all night, and whereas I never really realized the damage that was doing. I mean, of course I knew I wasn't eating breakfast, and of course we all know that eating breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? And that provides you the fuel you need to really get your metabolism going. We've all heard that a million times, so that wasn't a big epiphany or a huge surprise. But what was happening to my body by not fueling it throughout the day was shocking in a way, because I never really understood that when you don't eat all day and your body goes into starvation mode, which we've all heard about. Starvation mode, you start storing fat. That's when you go into starvation mode, you store fat. So you don't want to starve yourself because you're going to store fat. We've all heard that too, right? But what I didn't know is that our body starts releasing stress hormones that really freak us out, that make us totally stressed out, increase our levels of anxiety, which then really pushes us to do what? Frequently eat more. So we've gone or crave food. So we've gone all day without food, and then our body starts telling us internally, something we don't even necessarily recognize, that we're starving and now we need to eat as much as we can. And that's what begets the next, the eating and the more eating and the more eating. And I would get home at the end of the day, and I've mentioned I have 3 little boys, and I'd get home and I would have very little patience for them. And I blamed them. You're all wild, you're running wild, calm down, be quiet, don't. And I realized it wasn't them. It was my inability to deal with that stress. I was bringing my own stress and anxiety to that relationship because of the way I was not fueling my body, the way I was, with what I was not providing for myself. I wasn't caring for myself, and it made it now impossible for me to really care for them. So I've been robbing, my boys of being 100% present because I didn't have time to eat. I don't have time to eat. So that was very shocking to me. Real amazing revelation. The other side that I also thought I knew about was carbohydrate, and thinking that, carbohydrate, yeah, it's not good. Carbs, they do help pack on weight. And, we've all heard that carbs carbs transform into sugar. They create sugars in the body, and then the sugar makes you. It's like eating sugar's not good, and we all know that, right? But what I didn't know about carbohydrate was that it doesn't just convert to sugar. It's what drives fat storage. It's what packs the fat on. It's what creates this. It creates the fat that sticks to your body. The fat that we take in, the fat that's naturally occurring in food, cheeses or dairy, or even some meats, our bodies can process that just fine. It's the fat we create through the conversion of carbohydrate to sugar that is what stays with us. And not only does carbohydrate create fat, it turns off our ability to burn fat. And I live on carbs, so I would go all day without eating, and then it would be, bag of pretzels, 2 bagels, whatever. So it's going to be a huge flip for me. I mean, I knew carbs are not good, and I was going to try to avoid them anyway. And the whole crux of this prescriptive diet that they offered me was that it is a low carb, high protein diet. But I didn't really appreciate or understand what carbohydrate and starving myself during portions of the day were really doing to myself. What a negative effect that was having on my body specifically. I thought it was all of my choices, But what I didn't realize is that my body was being driven to those choices based on the bad decisions I made about fueling it in the first place. So the requirement of me is to eat 6 or 7, sometimes even 8 small meals a day. And that to me is going to be the biggest challenge, because right now I don't eat anything. I don't eat, until I get home. So to have something for breakfast and then eat, basically if I get up at 6, I'm eating at 6:30, I'm eating at 9:30, I'm eating at 12:30, I'm eating at 3:30, I'm eating at 6:30, I'm eating at 9:30. And then if I'm up till midnight, I'm going to have something at 11. And figuring out what to eat, all of that. And I'm having a lot of anxiety over the fact that there's a food journal that they want me to fill out. Food journal, and I'm not good at that. So having these mini meals and keeping in a caloric content of those meals, and making sure the protein is the right level of protein, and counting all that and journaling it, I'm anxious because I just don't know that I'm going to be able to be successful at that. So I hope, the whole diet plan, as it were, they don't like calling it a diet, and I shouldn't call it a diet either, but the whole eating program here seems very reasonable. But the work piece, that's what always makes you fall down in the end. So, I'm very hopeful, and I feel really good, and I'm overall about the prospect and the possibility, but I am nervous, and I'm still really trying to process the fact that everything I've done up to this point has been wrong on so many levels, and it's just kept me fatter. Like, not eating and choices I've made, some diet choices I've made and so forth along the way have just really made it so much worse. So here we go, and we'll see what happens. See you next time.